What's up, everyone? I hope you're all doing well. This is Jag Central because that was an awful game. We stink. We are awful. The Jaguars are 1-7 in their last 8 games. The only win was against Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers, and that is a consensus worst team in the NFL. And it wasn't even Trevor Lawrence who got that win, and that was CJ Beathard that got that win. And Trevor Lawrence has lost his last 11 games he has played. So it is not looking good. Not for Trevor Lawrence, just for the Jags in general, because whatever we're doing, it is just not working. We are literally probably the second worst team in the NFL. It is awful. Like, why are we so bad at home? Like, in the games we've played against the Chiefs, the 49ers, the Ravens and the Browns, they're all playoff teams. And the Jags have only managed to score 2 touchdowns in 16 quarters of football. And today was just ridiculous. Like, after what happened last week, the way we lost last week, and then losing the way we lost today, it's just not good enough. Like, now we have the Bills on Monday night coming up in Buffalo, and then we have the Texans away as well. And it's looking like we're going to be 0-4. And if that's the case, the season's over. And we can literally forget about the playoffs or anything. Because at the moment, even now, the playoffs don't even look like it's a good chance. Because I think you guys saw that stat before the game where teams that start 0-2 since the 90s, only 10% of them end up making the playoffs. So it's already looking gloomy. And I like to be the one to be positive, to be optimistic, but this team has not shown anything to be optimistic about, anything to be positive about. Like, the start of this season has been awful. The end of last season was awful, and it's just not looking good. So let's just get into the game. Like, coming into the game, the Cleveland Browns were down both their starting offensive tackles and their tight end today. So there was literally no excuse for the Jaguars defense to not make this a long day for Deshaun Watson. And Deshaun Watson had a bounce back game from last week where he played against a better defense and he looked so much better today. How many sacks did we get? We only got 2 sacks today. 2 sacks against a team that's missing their offensive tackle, and we're meant to be a team with a good pass rush. It's just not good enough. And the Jags were missing Tyson Campbell, and we're also missing Darnell Savage. Tyson Campbell was put on IR, so we're going to miss him for at least the next 4 games. And Evan Ingram got himself injured in the pre-game warm-ups. And looking at both teams, the Browns and the Jags, the Browns look like the team that prepared for a defense that they were playing. And the Jags just looked like a team that didn't prepare for the Browns defense, or even remotely schemed for what was coming up, because it seemed like we were a team with a deer in the headlights, because it was so bad. The offense was just so heart-wrenching, so gut-wrenching to watch. It's just such a bad, the offense is just so bad at the moment. And I've been saying this since the beginning of last season. Even when we were 8-3, the offense was not looking good. The defense was carrying back then, and we were just about scraping wins and whatnot. Today, the first half, we couldn't move the ball, no rhythm whatsoever. And then last game, the end of the second half, we were just looking awful as well. Couldn't move the ball. The play calling was horrendous. And at the moment, it seems like the Jags can only play one half of offensive football, because it looks like either we have 2 different play callers or we're switching play callers. Or I literally do not know what's going on with the team at the moment. But we came out in the second half a bit more urgency, and we started putting together some good drives, but it was just a little too late and we killed ourselves at the end. But I'll quickly go through the game. Let's just go through the first quarter. We received the ball, pump the ball. The Browns get the ball, and Deshaun Watson goes in an amazing drive, 7 for 8 on his passing, and they end up scoring a rushing touchdown, and then they open the scoring. Browns are up 7. Second quarter, they settle for a field goal, and then they go up by 10, and then we go on offense, and then we get a touchdown, and then we just have to settle for a touchdown, and the game is now 10-3. And then just before halftime, the Cleveland go up the field and get into field goal range, and they scored just before halftime, and then we go into the half down by 10, where last week we went into the half up by 10. So then we both come out, both teams start with a 3 and out, and then Cleveland end up extending their lead with a field goal. where we killed ourselves with back-to-back penalties. So literally giving them the 3 points, and they go up by 13. And then now this is where the offense started humming for the Jags, and it was basically at this moment, it was basically now or never. We had to get something from this drive, and it needed to be a touchdown, and that's what we ended up doing as well. So there was Trevor Lawrence hit Brian Thomas Jr. on a big 66-yard play. That was probably the biggest play of the game, and ETN punched it in for a 4-yard touchdown. And then now we're down by 6 going into the fourth quarter, and then now the Browns get the ball back. They punt it back, and then now we've got the ball back, and now it's all right, cool, let's string another drive together, get into the end zone, and then hopefully ride this home. So another great drive. We get into the end zone, but Kirk's touchdown is ruled off for an illegal shift, and then from there we weren't able to punch it back in. We have to settle for a field goal, and at this moment, Doug Peterson, down by 6, is thinking about going for it on fourth down. I was thinking, no, literally, let's just take the 3 points, and we live to fight another day. Because if we go for a touchdown and we don't make it, then we're still down by a touchdown, and we have to trust our defense. I just thought, let's just get the 3 points on the board, trust our defense, and if we get the ball back, all we need is a field goal, and we don't have to go for a touchdown. Luckily, he went for a touchdown. He went for the field goal, and now it's Jaguars 13, Browns 16. And now we're down by 3. And then now, with about 4 or 5 minutes remaining, the Browns put together an amazing drive, get into field goal range. And for me, I'm just thinking, all right, cool. If they get a field goal here, we're down by 6, it's fine. But if they get a touchdown, the game is essentially over, because we're going to be down by 2 scores. And then what did the Browns do? They shoot themselves in the foot with back-to-back penalties, and now they're down 3rd and 36, and they've kicked themselves out of field goal range. And essentially this was the beginning of the end for the Jaguars, where they end up punting because they can't go for the field goal, and the ball goes out lands in the 2-yard line and goes out. And now we start our drive on the 2-yard line with just over 2 minutes. I think it was a minute 59, a minute 58, so just after the 2-minute warning. And we have 2 timeouts, and we just have to get into field goal range. So we don't have to get a touchdown. We don't have to go 98 yards. We just have to go about 60 yards up the field and get a field goal, and then live to fight another day. What do? First play on the 2-yard line with a QB that has been sacked all game. The O-line is struggling. We call for a drop back play. I was so baffled at this moment. I'm thinking, why are we calling a drop back pass? Like, even if it's a quick screen pass, a handoff, fine. But just get us some yards. Just get us out of our own end zone. The Browns sacked Trevor Lawrence in our own end zone, and the Browns get a safety, and that safety killed us, because now we attempt an onside kick, it doesn't work out. We go 3 and out. You get the Browns to go 3 and out using both our timeouts, and then now we have to go for a touchdown with just over a minute remaining, and it's of course not going to happen. It is going to happen, of course, but we've just made it so much more difficult for ourselves, and essentially, we can't get up the field, we can't get the touchdown, and the Jaguars lose 13-18 to the Browns. We're 0-2 now, and at this moment, I'm not one to be like, all right, cool, this is who we blame, but who do we blame? Do we blame Trevor Lawrence? Do we blame the offensive line? Do we blame the receivers? Do we blame the play calling? It's so many things that are wrong at the moment that you can't just put your finger on one thing. Last week we went 2 for 10 on 3rd downs, and then today we went 3 for 9 on 3rd downs. We improved. We went from 20% to 33%, but still not good enough. Like, I just don't know where to begin with the issues on the Jaguars currently. Like, the running game, non-existent. Like, beginning of last season, the running game was decent, was really good. To be honest, that was the only good thing on offense, the running game. Now, anytime this offensive scheme is challenged with any aggressive press man defense, they struggle to create any explosive plays, or even any plays just to keep the chains moving. And this basically just goes back to our issues from last season, and whatever we did this offseason by bringing in Gabe Davis, bringing in Brian Thomas Jr., the kind of the emergence of Tanks Bigsby, hopefully he's all right. It just hasn't changed anything. Like, when I watch the Jaguars on offense and when I watch other teams like the Kansas City Chiefs, the Bengals, the Ravens, the Bills, like the Houston Texans, like I have to say, it just looks like when on offense, we're working so hard for what we do on offense. It's a chore. Like, it's even any plays that we make, it's just like, oh wow, we can't believe we made that. Like, we hardly make any easy plays. We don't make it easy for ourselves on offense. And for me, if I had to choose something, that kind of goes on the play calling, because why is everything a chore? I know the O-line is also bad as well, because today the O-line just kept collapsing. And I know the O-line was playing against Myles Garrett. I'll give them that, but it was really, really, really bad. And like, whatever it is, like, it's just inconsistent. It's awful. And I don't know what needs to change. Like, how the hell are we thinking about change 2 weeks into the season? That is how you know it is really, really bad. And we've got the Bills next, and now we've got the Texans next. If we somehow manage to win the next 2 games, we've salvaged it, and we're 2-2, and the season starts then. If we go 0-4, the playoffs are probably over. Like, the Texans are already 1-0. They haven't played yet. They're playing the Bears, which I expect them to beat, which puts them at 2-0. And if they beat us, that's 3 wins already, and we're not going to win the division. So we have to somehow get 10 wins. And if we have to get 10 wins, that means we have to go, is that what, 10-3 to end the season? And that is just something that's very, very like unlikely that's going to happen with this team, the way they're playing at the moment. But yeah, I literally don't know what to say. Like, yeah, I can go on and on about like what's wrong, and I haven't even spoken about the defense as well. Like, I'm just, you know what, I'm just going to stop there and just leave it there. But I'll catch you guys in the next video. Just don't forget to subscribe, like, and then, yeah, just comment what you guys think as well happened today, and what you guys think is going to happen in the next few weeks. But yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next video.